coming up on Lawmakers. The Senate passes a bill that would give the best teachers more pay for working in low-performing schools. Foreign language programs in elementary schools are in jeopardy. We'll have that report and hear what the governor had to say about funding the arts.
Live from Atlanta, this is Lawmakers for Monday, February 11th. Here are your hosts, Susan Hoffman and Gerald Bryant.
Good evening, everybody. Also in tonight's broadcast, an update on legislation backed by Governor Barnes.
And the DeKalb County Senate delegation can't agree on redrawing county commission lines. But
our lead story tonight, a proposal to increase the pay for some special Georgia educators.
That is exactly what Senate Bill 329 would do. Senator Greg Heck says there is currently no incentive for the best teachers to teach in low-performing schools. Heck says his bill provides a cash incentive.
This bill provides for a 10% pay raise for those teachers who are having a T5 through T7, in other words, a master's, specialist, or doctoral degree in the grades that reach these accountability standards, so that they will go there with 5 years of successful evaluations and teach in the most difficult schools. It gives us an opportunity to get some of our most important teachers, our award-winning certificate teachers, into the most difficult schools.
Senate Minority Leader Eric Johnson didn't oppose the bill, but he did say it reminded him of concerns that Republicans have with Governor Roy Barnes' education reform efforts.
Do you remember another one of our concerns was the cost of 1187 and the unfunded mandate, particularly in the classroom reduction and the amount of classrooms that was going to require? Do you remember that concern?
Let me put it this way. There were a host of concerns that I know that people on both sides of the aisle had, and the bill was amended many times. There were some good points about it and some bad points about it, and the point now is to find common ground between Republicans and Democrats and independents, basically to find solutions for Georgia. That's what we need to do both at the United States Capitol and in the state of Georgia.
Senator, one last question. Then you seem to be agreeing that we're continuing to fix with the bond package, the classroom constructions, now the incentive to get teachers in the classrooms. If y'all keep working on 1187, pretty soon we're going to get to Early Hope scholarships and we'll have education reform.
I appreciate that sort of question.
Senator Faye Smith, a retired educator, strongly endorsed the Heck bill and said it would attract the right teachers for difficult schools.
What is going to be one of the top priorities of that individual, as far as I'm concerned, would be attitude, which means if that is a challenge that I am willing to accept, then I will do a good job in that position, and I more than reserve more than 10%, but we'll argue that another time. But in conclusion, I'd like to say I commend you for this bill. It's a great, great bill and should have happened a long time ago.
Senate Bill 329 passed 50-0 and heads for the House.
The effects of this proposed pay raise are sure to reach the classrooms very soon across the state. Lawmakers Jamie Coran joins us from the Capitol with more on how this affects your child's school system. Jamie.
Susan, this legislation is part of a plan to improve Georgia's low-performing schools. Now, right now, those areas are having a hard time retaining veteran teachers, and that means that your child's education level may not be as high as those children being educated in top-rated schools.
15% of all first-year teachers quit in Georgia. 20% of first-year high school teachers quit in Georgia, and the rate is much higher in low economic areas of schools. We've got to change that dynamic.
A step closer to rewarding Georgia teachers and improving the quality of education that your child receives. Senate Bill 329 was drafted around those challenges.
Teachers with a master's degree, specialist degree, or doctoral degree with 5 years of successful evaluations can go to the lowest performing schools and get a 10% raise for this more difficult work.
It's called the Honorary Teacher and Principal Program. This legislation would ensure that an experienced teacher is leading your child.
They will instruct better and also provide the other teachers that have not reached this level of experience with, that mentoring opportunity to attain these levels of achievement earlier than they otherwise would obtain.
Raising teachers' pay scale is not the only attempt to motivate them. Representative Kathy Cox has introduced some new legislation that would give certain teachers a tax break. This tax exemption would only apply to teachers in low-performing school districts, and it would require them to sign a 3-year commitment.
A teacher, a school administrator, or any other certified personnel, including the certified dietitian who works at that school, would qualify to be exempt from state income tax on their teacher salary.
Both Senate Bill 329 and House Bill 1311 are amendments to Governor Barnes' school reform plan that passed last year.
Attracting quality teachers into low-performing schools goes to the heart of education reform because we know that it's the quality of the teaching that makes a difference in student achievement.
And that is what both bills are hoping to accomplish, the mission to obtain and keep qualified teachers here in Georgia. Reporting live from the Capitol, I'm Jamie Coran, Lawmakers.
Jamie, when will this legislation take effect and where will the funding come from?
Well, Susan, the legislation should not go into effect until the 2003-2004 school year. And according to Senator Hecht, the money, the $36 million, would be appropriated by the General Assembly.
Okay, thanks very much, Jamie.
Meanwhile, retired teachers may be heading back to the classroom soon. The House Retirement Committee passed a substitute to House Bill 210 today, which would allow retired teachers to go back to the classroom while retaining retirement benefits. The bill would require school systems to demonstrate a need for a retired employee to fill a position. The employee must work full-time and duties would be limited to classroom instruction. The vote was unanimous. House Bill 210 now moves to the House Rules Committee.
In the meantime, some teachers and principals are upset over possible cuts to a Georgia elementary school foreign language program. Christy Knight is live at the Capitol with our report. Christy.
Thanks, Susan. Well, today, members from the Georgia Coalition for Language Learning met at the Capitol to show their support for a foreign language program that is in jeopardy of losing its funding from Georgia legislators. Foreign language is no longer a subject taken only by high school and college students. Many Georgia elementary school kids, like those at Big Creek Elementary in Forsyth County, are participating in the Georgia Elementary School Foreign Language Model Program. The program, which is partially funded by the state, allows students to study a foreign language for 30 minutes a day. The Center of Applied Linguistics in Washington, D.C. recently named Georgia the highest-rated foreign language program in the nation. Despite the many positive benefits, the program is listed as a cut in the governor's recommendations for the 2003 budget.
We are astounded because this is something that we're so good at. We're number one in the nation. We're very proud of that, and we should keep it and expand upon it, not get rid of it.
State School Superintendent Linda Shrinko is urging legislators not to eliminate the funding.
As it currently stands, all of the state funding would be eliminated. And what that would do to the program would be to do away with it. If the local systems can't get any money from the state, then they assume the state doesn't support the program. And they aren't going to keep putting local tax dollars into a program where there's no hope that the state's ever going to support it.
If the funding is cut, many teachers and schools across 15 districts will be directly affected, among those including the over 12,000 students participating in the program. Now, sources in the governor's office say they never intended to provide a permanent form of funding. The money provided was to help jumpstart the program, which is currently offered in 28 schools throughout the state. Reporting live from the Capitol, I'm Christy Knight for Lawmakers.
Christy, quick question. How much money is funded by the state for this program right now?
Well, Susan, the state funds roughly half of the program, which is around $2.2 million.
Okay. Thanks very much, Christy. We appreciate it. The House votes to engross the Shop Georgia bill. This bill, part of Governor Barnes' legislative package, would let people shop for school supplies 2 times a year without paying sales tax on the merchandise. Engrossment means that the bill cannot be changed in committee or on the House floor. Democratic leadership wanted engrossment. Republicans did not, saying that they had their own ideas for the bill that would offer more tax-free shopping days each year, and it would not limit the tax break to just school supplies.
I think this is a bill that's important to Georgia citizens, and there has been a lot of interest in it. And let's let the committee process work. We all believe here in the committee process, and it has a place, and let's let it work on this House Bill 1312 as maybe that we can mold something together and come to a compromise and let the citizens of Georgia benefit from this type of legislation.
Representative Tom Buck, head of the House Ways and Means Committee, countered Republican arguments on engrossment, saying the bill had been floating around for quite some time and authors had spent plenty of time getting input.
Sales tax holiday legislation is nothing new, but we have had over the past several years in the Ways and Means Committee several propositions that dealt with the sales tax holiday. Mr. Borders has worked very hard and diligent trying to have one that would be acceptable to the House, the Senate, and the governor's office. We're in an economic downturn right now. Our sales tax revenues are way, way down. The governor is trying to stimulate the economy. This is one thing he's come with, and we feel like that the parameters of this legislation, the first shot, ought to be somewhat close till we get some kind of an experience factor and realize how much it is going to cost state government in our sales tax revenue flow. So I would urge you to vote for the motion to engross this legislation, and let's get on with the people's business.
The motion to engross the Shop Georgia bill passed, but just barely. The vote on that was 91 to 62. The bill, House Bill 1312, moves to House Committee.
Republican legislators say their tax-cutting measures are the best way to stimulate the state's economy. They will unveil several plans at a press conference tomorrow, and Wandy Lawson joins us live from the Capitol with a preview. And Wandy.
Well, Gerald, today House Minority Leader Lynn Westmoreland told me that stimulating the tax breaks for families and for seniors are at the top of the Republican agenda. To that end, the party wants to offer a $1,000 per child daycare credit to families, and they want to stem what they say is a tide of seniors leaving the state for Florida and other states. They want to do that by offering retirees an income tax exemption.
Now, if they've got a job, they would have to pay tax on that. On their salaries. This comes from a study that we've looked at. It comes from numbers that we've got from Dr. Thomason. But on their retirement and their savings and their investments and stuff, it would be no estate income tax. And we think it would be a real economic stimulus because we feel like that, rather than us losing our seniors to different states, that we would actually keep our seniors, the people that have worked so hard in this state, got their kids rooted in this state, and we don't want to see them having to leave. We want to see them stay here because they've got a lot invested here, and we've got a lot invested in them.
Now, Republicans are also critical of the governor's sales tax holiday for the 4-day period that he's considering, and of course the back-to-school items as well. They say a more comprehensive approach would be more effective, extending that period and having it apply to more items.
It'll be a nightmare. I imagine some stores won't even open under these strict regulations that the governor's got in this bill. If I had a store, and I was selling tennis shoes, would you know if they were athletic tennis shoes or just kicking around tennis shoes? How's it going to be? Who's going to say what it is and what the classification is? Ours is a straight 10-day holiday.
And, of course, Republican lawmakers will give more information and more details about their plans at their press conference. It'll be at 9:45 tomorrow morning. And, of course, lawmakers will provide more coverage of that on our program during tomorrow's broadcast. Reporting live from the Capitol, I'm Wandy Lawson for Lawmakers.
And, Wandy, did Mr. Westmoreland have any estimate of the savings the Republican tax holiday they say would offer?
Well, he hadn't been able to generate any official numbers yet, but, Gerald, he says that based on the governor's plan, being able to generate $11 million over a 4-day period, he estimates that the Republican plan could generate $100 million in tax savings.
Okay, thank you very much, Wandy.
Shop Georgia is one of many pieces of legislation the governor is backing for 2002. Of course, the governor himself cannot introduce legislation to the House or Senate, which is where his floor leaders play a very major role. David Zelski is standing by live at the Capitol with a rundown of legislation the governor is backing for this session. David.
Well, Susan, the governor announced most of his goals for the year in his State of the State address last week, but many bills are already well on their way. Floor leaders in the House and Senate have been busy both in the well and in committee. And bills such as House Bill 1142, dealing with changes in victims' compensation, have already passed in the House.
Increasing the amount available to victims of crimes from a limit of presently $10,000 to $25,000.
The governor's yearly quest for education reform continues with House Bill 1200. This would clarify differences between state and local charter schools and a few other revisions to the Charter School Act of 1998.
I am proposing that we should make it easier for parents and communities to create charter schools. Now, charter schools are not a silver bullet that will solve all of our education problems, but they are a tool that can give parents and the community more control
In the wake of September 11th, Homeland Security has become a major issue in every state, something the governor recognizes in Senate Bill 385, a bill that fights bioterrorism and other security problems.
Our state health lab has been assisting the Centers for Disease Control in analyzing possible biological agents.
What it does is provides clarification to current Georgia law governing issues such as vaccinations, quarantines, use of private health care facilities, and reporting requirements for health care providers.
The governor is backing 2 bills to aid the fight against cancer. House Bill 1148 teams with the Department of Motor Vehicles to help raise money through license plates to fight breast cancer. And there's House Bill 1100, which would require health benefit policy coverage for colorectal cancer screenings. So here's a rundown of the status of these bills. House Bill 1142 relating to victims' compensation passed in the House today and is headed to the Senate. House Bill 1200 involving charter school revisions was read for the second time on February 4th and is now being further revised in committee. Senate Bill 385 involving bioterrorism was given a due pass in committee today and heads to the Senate floor. House Bill 1148, which relates to the special license plates to aid the fight against breast cancer, is waiting on a hearing in committee. And this afternoon, a subcommittee for House Bill 1100, legislation that requires insurance for colorectal screenings, was given a due pass by substitute and now heads to the House Insurance Committee for further consideration. Now, House Floor Leader Charlie Smith says the governor's predatory lending legislation, though not mentioned in the State of the State, is now one of the main bills the governor is backing. Reporting live from the Capitol, I'm David Zelski for Lawmakers.
Thanks very much, David.
Governor Barnes today addressed the Georgia Citizens for the Arts, expressing his support for the state's performers and fine artists. And Wendy Lawson has more about the future of the arts in Georgia.
Now, I love my mom.
Governor Roy Barnes told art supporters that local productions and visual artists help fuel the state's economy. He pledged more state funding for the arts when the money becomes available.
I know that we don't spend enough money to support the arts right now, and I wish we could do more. And you have my word in the recovery when the recovery comes, and I hope it's not too far away. I'm ready for a recovery. The arts are going to be have the highest priority for increasing funding.
Today's event was also an opportunity to honor Georgia artists.
I'm especially excited that we're honoring Steve Hinton today. He is a phenomenal artist. You'll see his work. He's also a phenomenal comedian. If his art doesn't work out, he has got a future on the nightclub circuit.
I guess I know Georgia the best, and it's what I see the most. I sort of focus on people. Sometimes I'll go to do landscapes and I'll see some family of large people at a picnic table where only 4 can sit down and eat, one has to get up. Then it blows it as far as just doing landscapes.
And the governor emphasized that the arts are important to education and to the economy.
If a child can't read by the time he finishes school, he'll never be able to appreciate literature. If he can't get a good job, he won't be able to buy tickets to a play. So not only are the arts good for the soul, it's also good for the economy.
Last year, the television and film industry boosted the state's economy by more than $250 million, with projects including 13 TV features and over 200 commercials and music videos. Reporting for Lawmakers, I'm Wendy Lawson.
In other news, the Senate Judiciary Committee today gave a due pass recommendation to Lieutenant Governor Mark Taylor's child endangerment bill. Under Senate Bill 407, an adult with custody of a child under 16 could be charged with endangering that child if that adult engages in conduct that causes the death or injury to the child. Judiciary Chairman Renee Kim says Georgia is the only state without a child endangerment law. Senate Bill 407 passed committee without opposition.
Also today, several in the House back a bill to change the wording on a referendum used by small cities and towns that want to serve alcohol on Sundays. Right now, the referendum refers to alcohol as distilled spirits or liquor. Representative Emerson wants to use the terms malt beverages and wine instead. Emerson is from Dahlonega, an area known for its wine. He believes the change would help eliminate any confusion that voters may face when completing their ballots in the fall. Also today, the House votes to give Korean and Vietnam War veterans, am I wrong? Vietnam War veterans their diplomas if they left school to serve their country. The bill, similar to one passed last year, specifically addressing diplomas for World War II veterans, passed easily today. But Representative Bob Holmes, whose brother served in Vietnam and was injured and then went on later to get his GED, thought the diplomas should be deemed honorary so that they would not confuse employers.
When these veterans would go to seek jobs, it would be as though they had an earned degree. Now, my brother did earn a GED, and he got a bachelor's and a master's degree as well. But the point is, if they don't have an earned GED, this might even provide what might be misinformation by making the assumption that this individual did in fact earn the academic credits, and they are high school graduates. They have in fact mastered the subject matters that are required, and I think it might create some problems by these individuals being in the workforce.
Representative Warren Massey questioned Holmes about his amendment to make the diplomas honorary degrees. Massey thought that honorary degrees weren't meaty enough.
By giving them an honorary degree, wouldn't we just might as well not give them anything at all?
No, sir. It's like you're saying giving someone an honorary doctorate degree doesn't mean anything. You're doing it in many instances for a lifetime of service and contributions to their communities, to their state, the nation, and the world. As I indicated to my brother, went into the service. He had not finished high school, and he served 2 tours in Vietnam. So like I said, I think they're deserving of whatever we can give them. But here you're talking about service, and that's why you're doing it. It's not the academic accomplishment. And as I said, many of these people who got out in 1975, you would create a lot of confusion among employers who, when someone goes and shows on their application, I received this degree, they could have gotten a GED, but that would of course be an earned degree.
Representative Billy McKinney opposed the Holmes amendment. McKinney did not think the term honorary should be added to this bill since it was not stipulated in the bill passed last year awarding diplomas to World War II vets. Speaker Tom Murphy had an opinion too. Take a look.
World War II veterans are no more important than the other wars, and I think this amendment should be...
Well, I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah. So the Holmes amendment should be defeated.
Y'all gonna get me to make a speech yet, I'll tell you.
Well, I'm going to make a speech about it too.
You know what's so sad about this whole thing is they were good to us World War II veterans. They were a little bit less good to the Korean veterans, and the way they treated the Vietnam veterans was an absolute disgrace.
In the end, Representative Holmes withdrew his amendment. The bill went on to pass unanimously. It moves to the Senate.
Proposed commission redistricting in DeKalb County was the subject of pointed debate in the Senate today. Senator Nadine Thomas, who chairs the State and Local Government Operations Committee, says her county would benefit from her committee's proposed substitute to Senate Bill 400.
We now have a map that would be representative of the population of DeKalb County. If you look on your desk, there's a petition with 600 names on that petition. The signatures on those petitions, the individuals who signed that petition, they do not look like me. So if you want to say all of this was because of something else, it wasn't. It was because you have people who want to keep their communities intact, and this will keep the communities intact, keep communities of interest together, and this does that.
Minority Whip Tom Price is not from DeKalb, but he wanted to know about the population in DeKalb districts. Republicans argued during House, Senate, and congressional reapportionment that Democrats didn't make districts as close in population as possible.
And I don't see it listed on here. Just wondered if you were able to tell me what the deviation in population of the districts would be in the, I think it's 5 districts.
There are 5 single member districts, and there are 2 super districts, and I don't have that information before me, but is there anything in particular you are trying to get at? Be straightforward with me.
Just, Senator, further yield?
Yes.
One of the significant concerns that I have had on all of the reapportionment and redistricting maps that have come through the Senate is that with the software that we have available now, it's possible, as we demonstrated with the congressional map, to draw districts that had virtually 0 deviation. And in order to be consistent with my position on other redistricting maps, I've tried to determine what the deviation was and to make certain it was less than at least 1% on the district, so that we were treating people fairly across the district.
Well, with the map, trust me, people are treated fairly. The map was drawn in Legislative Council. Of course, we stayed within the deviations of, within the deviation of 5, I believe.
Senator Mike Pollock, a Democrat from DeKalb, disagrees with Senator Thomas's map, but today made a peace offering.
If you'd like to have this, and I got one more thing for you. Nothing's wrong on Valentine's Day. I think everybody on Valentine's Day needs a heart. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to present to you the card and the heart, so if you'd like to have that. It was definitely under, I think, a certain amount. But Renee, could you actually hand that to the senator over there?
But card and candy notwithstanding, when Senator Pollock asked for the bill to be tabled while the DeKalb delegation worked out their disagreements, Senator Thomas objected.
It's not true that proposal you made was to further divide the county and not bring the county together.
Senator answered that the proposal that I offered to you achieved every one of your objectives, and it essentially was meeting the needs of my commissioner, for which the map that you have proposed, every entity within that map, every city within the county is kept whole, except the city of Decatur, which is the county seat, that the commissioner that I represent in that area has represented that sole city for 10 years. I was not asking for a lot, I thought. And you took it up, you thought I was asking more than I was, but there was an effort to try to come up with a common bill.
After all was said, nothing was done about the bill. It would move to the bottom of the calendar and the Senate adjourned before taking it up. Voters in Senate District 48 go to the polls tomorrow to choose who succeeds Republican Billy Ray, who is now Superior Court judge. The candidates include former Representative Bobby Reese, who resigned to run for the Senate seat. He's a Republican. David Schaefer, once state GOP executive director, is also in the race, along with businessmen Nathan Warnock and J.D. Elliott. Elliott is a Democrat. Warnock does not list any political affiliation. The race is considered nonpartisan. The polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 7 p.m.
Coming up tomorrow on Lawmakers, we'll have the details of the Republican press conference. They are expected to announce their latest tax initiatives. And it is Georgia Day at the Capitol, celebrating the 269 years that Georgia has been in existence since its colonial days. For those of you with access to the Internet, you can watch Lawmakers online. Simply visit our website at gpb.org. Lawmakers programs are streamed live, and they are archived on our site every night that we're on the air. Stay tuned as our favorite European traveler, Rick Steves, takes you through South England from Dover to Land's End. That is here on GPTV next, so stay tuned for that.
That is our broadcast for this, the 16th legislative day for the Georgia General Assembly. Thanks for joining us. I'm Gerald Bryant.
And I'm Susan Hoffman. From all of us here, good night.